Today, my featured guest is Sean Doyle. He is principal at Fitzmartin Incorporated, a leading consultancy focused on optimizing sales and marketing investments of emerging middle market B2B businesses. Fitzmartin's clients earn an average ROI of $287 per every $1 they invested. That's pretty impressive. Through a 30-year career with over 5,500 client engagements, I feel like we're at a sports game right now. Sean saw the need for a repeatable, systematic, objective go-to-market model. The model, centricity, informs sales, marketing, technology, and creative decisions. His niche is helping executives identify opportunities to achieve their strategic, personal, and financial objectives. Startup Nation, I just said so many words that you just were like, what? What does he do? He's
I'm
about to
sure
tell
I
you.
believe it.
Yeah, he's going to break it down real small and simple for us folks, right? Because our brains just move at a slower pace, at least mine does. All right. And listen, he works with, companies doing 10 million plus or whatever. That's his market. And I get that's not most of us. I get it, right? So, Joseph, why'd you bring him on the show? Because he started where you started. That's why. And he's surpassed it by leaps and bounds. And now he's helping the next tier of clients and companies go even bigger, right? And break through their glass ceilings. But today, I asked him to go back in time. I asked him to go back to year 1, 2, and 3 when he was struggling to make his first 6 figures, and to give you the secrets, the tips, the strategies that you can use, you can borrow. Maybe even the courage. You need to borrow some courage today, right? To win in your business. Listen, you got kids at home, right? You got a spouse, they're counting on you. Every day you come home, they look at you like, are you winning? Did you bring home the bacon? We're hungry, right? Listen, I get the pressure. I got babies. We got our 3rd baby coming on the way, Sean. April, man. Ooh. April, let's go. And listen, it's difficult being a parent and an entrepreneur. It really is. For sure. And then some of you are single parents. Praise God, man. Run to him for that backup support, right? You lost your spouse? Well, make God your spouse. Tell him to fill in the gaps. So Sean's going to come on today, and he's going to help out, and he's going to help you win. We're headed into Christmas. Yeah, I say Christmas. Screw the holidays. Christmas, people. Christmas. Come on. Don't be scared. Your tongue's not going to melt. I'm telling you. All right. So, Sean Doyle, welcome to your first 100K, top 100 podcast in entrepreneurship. Go ahead and fill in some of the gaps in that long, extended intro.
Wow. I know. I'm excited now. I mean, Merry Christmas.
Thanks,
Love
bro.
it. Amen. I think that if I could do my first 100K over, it would be radically different if I knew then what I know now. Because you know what? The same truths that I help other executives understand and learn are the same truths that would have helped me back when we started year 1. And it's 30 years ago. That's a hard thing to remember what that was like. But I do remember extreme concerns about every penny and what is tomorrow, and covering that nut. Are we going to make payroll? And, and payroll was just if I happened to have enough money, right, to pay myself. So that I guess wasn't too concerning, but
payroll was the grocery budget, right?
Yeah, exactly. But groceries were $40 a bag, not $100 a bag. So I'm just saying I'm old again. I just keep emphasizing that. But, biblical principles, scientific principles, both of which are the foundation upon which we teach, train, help executives achieve their business goals. Doesn't matter the size. Mm-hmm. The truths are the truth, and the truths can be applied at any scale and any size. So what I hope we can do today is bring some really practical insights built around behavioral science. Centricity is built around a behavioral change science. But, the aha moment since 2002, when I learned this science of changing for good and behavioral change, and it outlines this thing that we would probably call a pipeline. The idea of a pipeline being, of course, people go through stages in a journey to change their behavior, to buy a product or buy a service. That's a change of behavior. You never think about that? I mean, it's not just buying something, it's changing the way you do something. So there's this pipeline, but the aha moment as a marketer, and I went 15 years without understanding this. Like, why did some stuff I did as a marketer work and help the executives I was helping? And why did some stuff not work? And how to codify it and how to simplify this in a way that would be repeatable. And that's behavioral science did that for me. And there's 9 best practices, and you can get them all for free on the website. I'll share that in a second. Um, why free? Well, because I'm old enough and I can't help everybody in America. So come on, just help yourself. There's some videos, there's downloadable frameworks. It's great. It's easy stuff. It's not easy, actually. It's simple. It's not easy. I mean, starting a business is simple. It's not easy, right? That's why there's so many failures. But where am I going with this? So centricity was great. Behavioral science was great. But as a Christian, I thought, I don't need to just rely on science. I need to validate this in Exodus 3-7. Do you remember, Joseph, what happened in Exodus 3? This guy named Moses was out in the fields with some sheep.
I remember the sheep. I remember a bush. I remember burning.
Yeah. Like, what's that sound like if you had your marketing lens on? You're out in the course of doing your normal day, and this bush makes you go, hey, what's that?
It grabbed my attention. It's like a really great clickbait headline. I got to click it.
The rest of Exodus goes from 3-7. There's this incredible dialogue that goes on between Moses and God that goes from him saying, I'm a convict. I've escaped this nation, Egypt. I'm out shepherding. I'm doing my thing. I've got my life. I'm settled. Everything's good. And God changes his life. And to the point where he goes back, right, to where he's wanted for murder. And he leads a nation out of Egypt. That's an incredible model. And guess what? Behavioral science, 4,000 years later, has identified what Moses went through, the steps. Just read Exodus 3-7 if you want the best sales coaching that you can get anywhere. And it's incredible. Joseph, have you ever bought something where you kind of argued with the salesperson? Like, I don't need that. I don't want that. Does that ever happen?
Oh, yeah. And then I've been on the other end where they were arguing with me while I'm selling them a Kirby vacuum cleaner when I'm 18 years old. I don't need a new vacuum cleaner. We have 4 vacuum cleaners. Why do I need a $1,500 vacuum cleaner? Well, I'm
great.
Let's go to the bedroom. Let me show you the dust mites. Do you know what your children are breathing in?
But to the point, if I don't need a Kirby vacuum cleaner, if I don't need a vacuum cleaner, then my interests are not being served, right? Your interests as a salesperson were being served. And that's like mythology, snake oil, pseudo experts. I believe those are the words that you use about your show, right? None of us want to be that. We want to be somebody who, as a salesperson, wants to help. I need to have, as a salesperson, the best interest of the person I'm talking to in the context of I'm a startup. I haven't made my first 100K yet. I've got that goal. I need to be successful. I've got all this pressure, and it's so hard to have the other person's best self-interest in mind. I've got to get outside of myself. And that's why we call it centricity. Everything we think that you do around marketing and sales has to have the interest of the buyer. It's centered on the buyer. It's not centered on you. It's not centered on marketing's needs. It's not centered on sales goals. It's not centered on customer success. It's got to be centered on the buyer. And that's was God's best interest for himself or for Moses. And I guess
for Moses and his people, right? Now,
right.
So right here, what you're discussing is we as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we have to change our own behavior, which is naturally self-centered, dealing with our own stress, our anxiety, like we need money, right? We got to pay the bills. I got the family depending on me. And we have to change that focus from navel gazing to looking at our clients and understanding their needs, their wants. How do I serve them? So how do we do that? Like, what's the first step with that? Because I know you just poked on 90% of my audience who they're not focused on the client. They're not. They say they are. They write it in their marketing, but they're really focused on themselves, their family, and their own financial needs. first and foremost. True or true?
True. I think it's true. Yes. It's both true and true. I'm a Yankee too. I love hearing a Yankee voice. It's just good to hear Yankees.
I don't know who
Truly
you're
true.
talking about right now.
I think the way I would answer that, this is choking me up. It's
It
so
was a
good.
very profound question. It makes people choke up.
I would answer this question with you've got to start with something we would call the science would call consciousness raising. So you can never change behavior without somebody's consciousness being raised of the need, of the problem, of the solution, because we all have a pattern. So I think what we just maybe did, maybe that's our objective for today was to help one person see the world differently, right? Maybe that's what we just did is help somebody go, not awareness. Oh, hey, there's a process, there's a pipeline, there's things sales and marketing can do. Like there's no aha in that. Awareness is rarely what anybody needs to be successful to make their first 100K. What people have to do is cause somebody's consciousness to be arisen. Like I need to know why I care about your product or service. I don't need to know that it exists. Well, Sean, that's dumb, numbskull. You got to know something exists or you can't buy it. Okay, I'll concede that. But more important than that, I could be totally aware of what you sell. I could be totally aware of your Kirby vacuum cleaner, and I don't care because it's not relevant to me. Mm-hmm. So entrepreneurs need to understand that if they don't flip that self-interest, if they don't flip over to the buyer's interest, we are highly refined and highly sensitive as humans to knowing whose interest is at play. That's why the jokes are, if you think that that's not true, Joseph, when I walk up to you and I'm the clerk in a retail store, can I help you, Joseph?
No.
No.
Get away from
Why?
me.
Why would you not want my help?
Because I'm just looking.
I know where the merch is. I know your size. I'm an expert.
You have an agenda. Why? It's all over your face.
Wow. You saw right through that, did you? But we are all trained. We're trained killers of salespeople because of the lack of understanding of agenda. So maybe the thing that will help you hit your first 100K is flipping that dialogue to that the buyer-centered mindset. If people can see themselves. Now, you mentioned, maybe it was before we were talking a little bit, you mentioned about marketers have all been taught, and business owners have all been taught to create an avatar. I don't like the word avatar. It's kind of weird. It reminds me of the blue people.
The blue people.
Smurfs.
Those
Smurf movies.
Smurfs.
I'll have to admit, I didn't get that the first time I heard James Cameron's Smurf movie. Then I was like, oh, I get that. I was thinking he did a movie with Smurfs.
Would you stay on track, please? Let's go.
I'm sorry, I do get off track.
Such a marketer.
So we got to forget that. We got to forget these avatars because avatars are designed to make us think that we care, and we market to the person. We're still seeing the person as an object, as a target, as a goal, instead of trying to reflect what they care about. Now, if you write to what somebody cares about, that's great. But I know maybe 1 out of 100 businesses that creates these avatars, these personas, that actually use them. They actually put them on the wall. They actually understand through quantitative and qualitative research. They actually call people and say, what's your biggest barrier? What's your biggest problem? How can we write about that? What would it mean to you? Not me. Because what's the next thing we do? Let me tell you about this vacuum cleaner. Let me tell you about what I do.
All right, we got to stop using the vacuum cleaner example because people are going to think I actually sell vacuum cleaners nowadays. That I was a kid. I was a kid, people. I was a kid. Okay, it was my first sales job ever. All right, so I do. If you want to use me as an example, I do elite men's coaching. Elite men's coaching, right? So elitemenscoach.com, right? And I serve the guys doing 7 figures and beyond. They're crushing it in business, right? But they're going home miserable. They're failing at home. They're losing their wives.
Mm.
They're losing their kids. Divorce, disconnected kids, suicide, the works. They got their relationship with God is failing. They feel like failed dads, failed husbands, but they don't see a way out, so they pacify, right? What do? The alcoholics, workaholics, you name it. I call it the Tom Brady effect. Sorry, Tom. But it's the Tom Brady effect. Everybody gets it. He's in the news right now. He's the fallen hero right now for all us guys, okay? He's an elite athlete, winning in this area of his life, failing at home. And it's going to cost him everything. It's going to cost him everything, right? So I help guys right before the fall to change directions and avoid that. So that's what I do, okay? So I'm bringing
That's
that up
life
as an
changing.
example. It is life changing, and it's awesome. God does the work, right? It's awesome. It's His power that transforms these guys' lives. But I want to use more of that example because that's all about that guy, right? We're saving him before the fall.
Hmm. But
All
you know what
right?
you just did that was so beautiful? And
No.
every entrepreneur listening can do this. You didn't talk about what you do. I don't have any clue how you do this yet. You didn't
Correct.
tell me that.
Right.
And I don't need to know. It's an incredibly good demonstration of talking to a persona because you spoke into what I'm experiencing, right? Oh wow, I'm a seven-figure guy, and yeah, you just said three things there that, oh man, that is me. Maybe I need to consider. And then you're going to move into contemplating, right? So far we haven't talked about what you do. We haven't talked about what you sell. We haven't talked about what it costs. You've talked about the buyer. And now I'm going to begin to contemplate. Now I'm going to go to your website. Now I'm going to learn. And why do I go to the website? Because there's anonymity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know many seven-figure guys that say, hey, I'm going to hang a sign in my window that says, I'm really miserable.
That's right.
They're going to look great. They're going to drive good cars. They're going to
That's right.
have good clothes. They're going to go to the gym. They're not going to look good. But if you speak to them about where their heart is and what their problems are, because you understand, then they're going to be interested. Then they're going to come in anonymity to your website. And that's where you can speak more richly and more deeply. That's where a testimonial makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
not a testimonial about, well, I liked Joseph's 5-step process that went from A to B in the online feature and da da da. That comes later. I've still got to learn how you're going to change. What's the relevance to my life? You've got to raise the consciousness of what this coaching does. Testimonials are very powerful. We would call that social liberation. I'm seeing somebody else. I see Tom Brady. Tom says, I was a train wreck. I worked with Joseph. God changed my life. Wow. I still didn't talk about what you do or how you do it. But we as salespeople, especially because we're so passionate when we start this new business about what we do, we're so passionate about it. We understand it so deeply. We want to tell you. I want to tell you about my 5-step process and the 3 techniques and the, all that stuff. It's the wrong conversation.
It is.
That's where you've got to flip. That's the centricity flip. You've got to talk about what the other people. You get your chance later, right? So as somebody goes down this journey to being, let's say, I'm going down the journey to be one of your mentees. Is that the right word? A customer, a consultant, you as
Client.
my consultant, client. Thank you. I knew there was a word in there.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, I'm going to move into something that the science would call preparation. Let's go back to Exodus. Moses at some point said, well, wait a second. I can't go back to Egypt. I'm a murderer. They're going to throw me in jail. They're going to kill
I
me.
have a reputation. Do you realize how bad I failed in my last business? That's pretty much what he's
Ah.
saying, right? For all you entrepreneurs that have failed previously and your confidence is taking a hit. That's why you're struggling right now because you just don't know how to rebuild your confidence. That was
Yeah.
Moses.
Joseph,
Just to
remind me,
continue.
how many failed businesses did you have?
Over 10.
Yeah. Okay.
I am a
Just wanted to make
professional
sure.
at failure. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Aren't we all? We just don't like to talk about it. So the idea of this is you get into a phase where you begin to prepare to make this change, and that's where God starts, or Exodus starts saying to God, well, or Exodus doesn't say it. Moses says it in Exodus to God, but I'm not a good speaker. I'll provide you a voice, but I'm not a. But I've got these sheep, and I've got the father-in-law thing, and I mean, what that's a signal of is the person preparing to take action. They've got to resolve these things. That's when this practical, Joseph, I'm interested. You've spoken to me. You've reached my heart. I've seen how you could impact my life and da 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 da. Tell me more about this because I'm a little embarrassed to even have to ask you or admit my need. Right now, I'm going to ask you to give me information. That's not on your website necessarily. Now I'm having a one-to-one dialogue. It might be on the website. It might be, people ask, why do you have podcasts? Well, because it's an incredibly good way for me to help people before they're ready to pay me.
Mhm.
And it's okay to help people. That's a number one question I get with young emerging businesses. Well, but we can't put it on the podcast. We can't put it on the website. Why? Well, because that's what we sell. We're going to give it away. No, that's not what you sell. You sell the expertise of the application of whatever it is you have. You may have some people that are listening that have a product. Well, yeah, you can't give your product away, but you can give away everything about how to use your product and why your product and what your product does and all. But you can give it away, right? I mean, I would suggest that you probably either in Broken Catholic or First 100K, you probably give a lot of the same advice that if I paid you, I would get. But what's the difference? When I pay you, now you help customize that advice to my needs, to my life, to where what you see is broken in me. So give it away. But just to understand, you've got to, first of all, centricity, you've got to be buyer centric. You've got to help them understand, see themselves. Eventually, they're going to move into this preparation phase. So that's when you can start being a helper. And we think that helping is a really important part of this journey. I didn't say sales, did I? I said helping. I just help me remember. Did I say it's time for you to be a closer? No, I said helper. Yeah, that's right. Helper, right? You got to be a helper. So positivity, if you think about why you would do this, why would you be a helper and why would you be positive? And it's not rainbows and glitter and unicorns and all that. It's the positivity has a positive impact. And there's some great data that shows people who are positive can help more people than people who are pessimistic. And HBR did an article that was showing like a 37% lift of positive people over negative people, their counterparts who are in the same situations. So you should be positive. And if you're thinking about you can change lives with your product and service, why wouldn't you be positive? This is incredible. And people who are, we're talking to business owners here, right? So why else should you be positive? If you give people good experiences and are positive, the data is showing that you're going to almost 2x the growth of your business. So first 100K, let's talk about the second 100K and the third 100K. How are you going to do that? Well, being positive has something to do that. It has to do with providing more than just that thing you sell, right? There's got to be an association. That's where I'm, instead of maybe worrying about the avatars of your buyers, maybe worry about your own avatar. Maybe it's your energy. I got coaching from one of my clients yesterday that we needed to be more enthusiastic when we presented to his board. We had to have more energy,
Can
right?
I give you a real life story?
Go.
And I'm going to be vulnerable here to what you're saying. And Startup Nation, I'm just going to put myself on the chopping block because I think Sean is hitting on a very important point here. If you're not enthusiastic about your own product, your own service, the results that you get for people in their lives, because you've been disappointed chronically or you're not making as much as you think you should by now, etc. Right? There's all these good reasons to feel this way. But the point is this is you're actually pushing away the people that want to do business with you, right? Because you're not enthusiastic, as he said, excited about your own product or service. So here's my short little story is God had me recently buy a Christian radio station here in Tampa Bay. I didn't want to buy it, right? But he said, go buy this. And I'm like, God, I got a family, I got babies. You want me to cut this large check for a radio station? I do podcasting. I don't want to learn about terrestrial radio and antennas and all that stuff. And he said, go do it. So he confirmed it 3 times. It was undeniable. I cut the check. I now own a radio station with the nonprofit that comes with it. It reaches over 500,000 people in the Tampa Bay area. So God's doing something with that, which is awesome. But here's my mistake, Startup Nation, Sean. as I've been sharing with those immediately around me that have heard, hey, you bought a radio station? I was like, yeah, I didn't want it. God said this and I did it. And I have no idea what I'm doing. We got to raise funds for this thing. I have no idea. And I'm just kind of occurring nonchalant about
Mm.
it. And my wife called me out recently because it wasn't taking off. And I am friends with a lot of affluent people, and none of them have offered, even though I've clearly shared the need. Hey, we want to raise money and expand this and grow this for God's kingdom. And none of them said, hey, how much you need? Or let me write you a check. And it was fascinating to me. I'm like, why are people not engaging? They got the money. They like me. They love the cause. And what it was my wife called me out. She said, yeah, you're describing a great story of like how God called you to do this. But then you're kind of like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. This is this. We'll see what God does. And it's just, there's no pop to it. There's
Yeah,
no,
right.
there's no pull. It's not compelling because you need to turn it up and say, listen, I started out not knowing what God wanted with this, but now I clearly see like he wants me to go big with this. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create some awesome, amazing shows that are much needed in the Christian space. Here's where you're involved in that. And I know you can help with that. Here's the amount we need. What do you say? How much you want to put in? Let's go. God's going to do something awesome with this. Like it completely shifts the difference.
Oh yeah.
So Startup Nation, I'm putting myself on the chopping block, like you said, because I just made this mistake and I'm literally going through this transition right now.
Mm.
So think about your own business. How are you showing up right now? Unenthusiastic or
Mm.
not even believing anymore in your own product, your own service, and the miracles that God has already done in the lives of some of your clients that maybe you've minimized along the way because they weren't as big as you thought they should be.
And I,
What do
and
you
I
what do
think
you want to say here, Sean?
well, I mean, yeah, you're getting me excited now. I think one thing that'll be really helpful is another shift in the way of thinking about what your job is to sell. So we've all been taught that we can give information, right? There's a belief system that the more information I give you, I worked with a law firm once, rapidly growing, and I said, let me see your RFP. If I asked you, hey, I want your services, they gave me a 75-page book. Had everybody's Vita, had two pages for some lawyers, it just had everything. I was like, I don't care about this. This is horrible. But there was this idea that comprehensive information is generally better. It's smart and prompt to have this big thing to send to somebody, and that's giving information. But gosh, that's not very exciting. It's not very impassioned, right? It's just a big overhead. There's telling. Let me tell you, Joseph, what you need to know. Let me just tell you. That made you feel really good, didn't
No.
it? No, don't tell me. I mean, you just got done saying you didn't like it when your wife told you. Now she flipped it and she helped you raise your consciousness, which is the beginning of a behavioral change, right? So then you went through immediately, you contemplated, you thought about what she said, you're preparing, you just prepared, you're practicing your talk about how you're going to say it again. Now you're ready for action. Next time this comes up, you're going to do it very differently. But telling doesn't work when you just let me tell you what you need to know, because I haven't yet decided I want to change. So how can you tell me? You don't even know me. How can you tell me what I need to know? If you've got my best interest in mind, you've got to talk to me. God didn't start out. Do you think God knew what Moses was going to challenge him with? Of course he did. He could have handed him the brochure. Here's the 10 answers to the questions you're going to ask. It's like, oh, that just would have demoralized Moses, right? No, I guess I'm that predictable. I do hate, as an aside, those tests where you can ask 5 questions and they can tell you everything about your life and your personality. Isn't that kind of discouraging that we could be that simple? Off subject. Okay. So giving and telling, that's probably what you've been taught that you should do as marketers and salespeople. But what about this? And could you get excited about your business if you thought about your job as making sense of the situation? There's a lot of information out there, Joseph. Let me help you make sense of this. Let me help you see the evidence of what would change in your life and how it would help you. Let me give you priority. Let me give you a glimpse into the world in which I'm selling my product or service. And let me help you understand how people in my business make money before you make a decision. And it's really enlightening and it's exciting if I can help somebody else make sense. And that gives me a lot of freedom to, if it's not a fit, it's okay. And you know it's not a fit, and I know it's not a fit. And then we all the stress about sales and having to say no or yes or all right, Joseph, here you go. I'm going to trial close you. Let's see how this works. All that goes away. Either deals make sense or they don't. And I don't care if it's selling a vacuum cleaner. You told me to not talk about that again. I don't care if it's selling vacuum cleaners or coaching millionaires. It just helps. If you can help me decide if it makes sense for us to work together, great. That's something you can help people with. You don't have to be scared of it. You don't have to have a particular file on your calendar. All right, 9 to 10, make calls. Oh, just don't want to do it today. Why wouldn't you want to help people make sense of their lives and guide them to the right choices? And why would you want anybody to buy your product or service that isn't the right fit? So sense making, and this is all you can read. Gartner did the research that talked about these three different styles of outbound information, to use the marketing slang. So get excited about sense making. Forget sales. Help people make sense. And there's three. Maybe you guess this. Maybe there's more, but there's three things everybody has to consider. Let's go to the radio station. What was your personal pain? We call them pains. It's on the fitzmartin.com/free help. I'll tell you that again later, but fitzmartin.com/free help. There you go. Pain map. There's personal pain. When you bought that radio station, you didn't talk about it much. And then when you did talk about it, you kind of hedged a little bit. You were protecting yourself from what? Looking unwise. You bought a terrestrial radio station, Joseph. Have you heard of the internet? You heard of podcasting? What are you doing? You know, I mean, we all have this personal pain. We want to protect ourselves, our image, our look, or the way people respect us or think about us. There's a strategic pain, right? So, where am I going with this? Why did you buy a radio station? What are you doing? And then there's a financial pain, dude. I hope you didn't. You mentioned it. I got to feed babies. There's a financial. So you can. I hate to say it, but there's a simplicity to humans. And it's all written in a great book. But we all make decisions personally, strategically, and financially. So when you're trying to help people make sense of something or make sense of whether your product or service is a good fit for them, ask personal questions, strategic questions, and financial questions and help them understand what their fears are. That way it's about them. It's not about your product and the gold plating and the lifetime warranty and the hard plastic and scratch resistant and best lawyer in the Southeast. It's not about that stuff. It's about your buyer. Whew. All right.
Startup Nation, what are you taking away from Sean right now? I mean, he's dropping some stuff here. He's opening up his Christmas bag of goodies. He's like Santa Claus right now, okay? Like, this is powerful. And I really like how you're like dissecting my own behavior from my sharing, my storytelling. And you're absolutely right. There was personal pain there. Like, I didn't even know subconsciously I was protecting my reputation with all these affluent people that, you know, I associate with, etc. Because it seemed like an unwise business decision to go buy a business in a lane I've never worked in before.
Yeah. As an aside, Joseph, I have a collection of 8-track tapes. I'd really be interested in talking to you about that.
And then strategically, yeah, I'm like, I don't have a plan for this. Like, God hasn't showed me the whole map of what he wants me to do, which doesn't sound good from a business guy, you know, from worldly wisdom. And most of the guys I know are very successful business guys. So right there, they're kind of like looking at me like I'm a unicorn with 3 heads, right? And then financially, yeah, I put myself at risk, my family at risk. It was not a prudent, wise in the eyes of the world financial decision to go buy a radio station, you know, impulsively. But this is what blind obedience looks like with God. This is what a burning bush experience looks like with God.
Yeah.
Faith, like, man, I'm learning a lot about radio, and I'm learning about EWTN. For all the Catholics out there,
I
it's.
used to work there.
Did you really? So it's the largest, Catholic media in the world, and founded by a nun who used to live in this space of inspiration. Whatever God inspired her to do, she didn't go and like seek wise counsel most of the time. She just said, "We're going and we're doing this, and we're raising $10 million, and we're making this decision, and we're gonna build it on this mountain." And people looked at
Mother,
her like, "Are you kidding me? Like, that's insane. That won't work." And she's like, "Well, God told me to, and it's going to." And then she
she
did it.
she was great. Mother Angelica, that was my second job out of college, and
That's crazy.
she had this great pattern of like she'd put up a 23-foot satellite dish
Yeah.
in the back of the convent, and the city officials and the county official would come and say, "You can't do that. You don't have permits to do that." And she would just look at them straight in the eye and say, "You don't understand. God told me to do that. We're doing it." And she'd just turn around, walk away.
Yeah.
And she
Like, yeah,
never, I mean,
like take up your permit problems with God. That's not my problem.
yeah, she just was like, you don't, she would say, she was known for saying, "You don't understand inspiration." And
And
that
you
was
know
the
what?
end of her conversation.
Absolutely. And you know what I really loved about her, and I'm reading her biography almost complete with it, is her biggest funders and proponents and collaborators and backers were Protestants. Like, she unified
Mm,
the church. It was
mm,
awesome. They didn't care that she was Catholic on a Catholic mission. They were like, this woman is faithful to God, and we are inspired by her inspiration and her obedience. She just sees burning bushes everywhere, and she runs after them.
mm,
And like, we want to be part of that because, gosh darn it, I wish I had that kind of faith in my own
mm,
life. Like, and that's magnetic. That's
mm.
fantastic, right? So we got to share these stories, Startup Nation. If God called you into the business that you're in and he called you to take a leap of faith, then share that story and how it scared the heck out of you and what God wants you to do with it and how you're going to do it and how you need these people's help. And it's there, you're going to give them the opportunity to participate in God's plan in your life. Like, that changes everything. You're not looking for more clients. You're looking for more miracles that God can be glorified in.
Yeah, and that's sense making, right? That's not, let me give you a bunch of information, let me tell you a bunch of stuff. It's just like, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this vision. Let's talk about the burning bush. And then people are going to be drawn to that, right? I kind of want to sign up for your coaching. I don't even know what it is.
It's
I'm
really
excited about it.
expensive. But listen, when people are making a lot of money, like, they're not price shopping. They're
Maybe
about
I
the
can't afford it
value. They're
then.
about
Yeah.
the results. Like, that's
Yep.
what it is. And they want something that's elite and status. They're like, does this thing work?
Yeah.
I want those results. Because what's the point of having all the money if you're going home miserable every day, people?
Mm,
It doesn't even make sense. Don't you know you can win at home as well as in your business?
mm, mm,
Like, that's
mm.
the results, man. You start winning in all areas and God takes over. It's fantastic. Anyway, Sean, welcome to my favorite part of the show. Welcome to the hustle
Mm.
round. We're speaking with Sean Doyle. This guy runs a company called Fitzmartin. You can find him at fitzmartin.com. And, he's been dropping it here. And Sean, what I like about you, even though you're all over the place with your tangents, a little as much as me, probably because we're from New England, is that, man, you really just lean into the mic and you speak to people right where they're at. And you say, hold on, stop. Consider this. You're missing it. Lean back. This ain't about you. Winning in business isn't about you. You want more clients? You want more money, more profit? Great. Like, Sean is teaching us how to do it. He's saying stop and really get present to what your clients are looking for. What do they actually want? What are the areas in their life where they're resisting change? But if they stopped resisting change, they could get incredible results that they're actually looking for. And how can you remove all the confusion around that for them and help them make sense of it all and say, and oh, by the way, that's what my product or service does. Like, and then you make the connection. I mean, back then, I didn't know I was doing it with Kirby vacuum cleaners. I brought it up that time. Thank you very much. But, I was coming in with a product that people didn't want at a price tag they definitely didn't want. And many of them couldn't afford. But at the end, I connected it to what mattered to them, which were their children or their daughter who had asthma since she was 2. And I showed them that this product could help her asthma.
Mm.
Well, all of a sudden, mom's swinging a credit card for $1,500 purchase that she had no intention of making because it now connected to what mattered to her or who mattered to her.
Made a lot of sense.
Made a lot of sense. I helped her make sense of it, right? I didn't know I was doing that, Sean. I didn't know what I didn't know, like many of us. All right, Sean, welcome to the Hustle Round. Going to ask you 10 quick fire questions. You'll have about 10 seconds to answer each. Don't overthink it. It's just for fun. It's like a game show without the prizes. Are you ready, sir?
Let's go.
I can speak faster if you want.
Come on.
What's your favorite thing about owning your own business? Huh?
Autonomy.
What's your least favorite thing about being an entrepreneur?
Autonomy. No, the need for structure.
Yeah, for sure. I believe we're all struggling with something at any given moment of our life. It's just part of the human condition. What are you currently challenged with right now, either professionally or personally?
Capacity.
Say again.
Capacity. I
Tell
don't
us
have any
more.
margin in my life. My calendar's, in fact, you got to wrap this up. I got a meeting in like 2 minutes. No, I don't. But I need more capacity in my life. Say yes to
Mm.
too many things.
Ah, you don't need more capacity, my friend. You need more priority.
Mm,
Just my 2 cents on that. I do this for a living, by the
that
way.
sounds like consulting.
Free of charge. You're welcome. I'll help you make sense of it. What are you most afraid of, Sean?
I'm going to fail my family and the
Oh.
people that God has put in my sphere. I'm going through a lot of change right now where I'm understanding that like the employees, we've got a pretty decent little network of employees and freelancers and other businesses that support it. And those are all people that God's put in front of me. So like I get frustrated with them. I don't look at them and go, what could I do to help them? How can I help them? What's my, yeah.
Mm,
So I don't want to fail them.
I hear you, man.
I don't want to fail him.
Amen. What did you spend way too much time doing your first year in business? This
Talking.
business. Say again.
Talking.
Information. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
What secret
Just telling everybody.
what secret fear do you have about people?
Oh man, this is tough. Judgment. Do you like me?
Mm.
Oh, I hope you like me.
Let me give you all the reasons why you should like me.
I can tell them to you.
I'm with you, brother. Here's what other people say about me and why they like me, so you should. What do you wish you had learned sooner in business?
Mm. To believe in the gifts God gave me and not to be this kind of fake humble, just to trust and believe it. And if you try it and it doesn't work, or you say it and it fails, or if I mean, just it's not about me, right? So I think if I would have just shared more and been stronger earlier, and that's really hard when you want to be liked, because then you don't say hard things, and a friend will wound you, and an enemy will heap praises on you. And I tended to like the praise more than the wounding.
Mm.
But the most valuable people in my life are the ones that wounded me. Your wife helped you when she wounded you about this radio station.
I got so many wounds from my wife, Startup Nation. It's incredible.
And it's a blessing.
It's a blessing. I love this woman. What is the new habit you're going to create this year?
Apparently it's priorities, but you're going to have to tell me more about that.
What is a bad habit you're going to break?
I think we've covered this. I say yes all the time.
Well, stop.
Yeah.
Let's go. Pick 3 words to describe who you are now, Sean.
Mm. Aging / wisdom. That's 2 words.
I like it. Pick th-
And yeah,
pick three words
and
to describe who you were your
passion.
first
I
year.
was gonna throw in passionate though. I got to get that my third
Ah,
word in. Don't cut me out of my third word, man.
I like it.
Passionate,
Push back, baby. Let's go.
passionate.
You got to create space on my show here. Let's go. Pick three words to describe who you were your first year in this business.
Excited, ignorant in the best sense of the word, and gosh, hungry.
Hmm. Yeah. Got it. All right. And last question. If you could come back to life, Sean, after you died, look your family and friends, your wife and your kids in the eye, and give them only one piece of advice about true success in life, what would you say to them?
Uh, God is who He says He is.
Got it. And this is the part of the show, Sean, where you get to give Startup Nation a homework assignment for this week. What is the one action
Perfect.
they must take if they really want to move forward into this burning bush experience in their business with God? What do you got?
Easiest homework ever. It's going to be fun. You're going to either go to fitzmartin.com, fitzmartin.com, free help and slash free help. And on that page, you can download the framework. You can watch a video that explains this framework. So if you're interested in science and that kind of cranks you, then learn about the behavioral science that helps you understand how to be centered on the buyer's needs. Or get your Bible out, go to the Pentateuch, open up that book called Exodus and read chapters 3 through 7 and think about it with this new lens of this is the way God helped Moses on Moses's terms come to change his behavior. And just look at that and go, how can this be my sales journey?
Mm. All right, Startup Nation, are you going to take up the challenge? Are you going to answer the call? Or are you just going to go back to the lack of results you've been getting because you're refusing to change your behavior? It's your call. It's your life. It's your business. Your family. They're all looking at you, counting on you. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Startup Nation, you enjoyed this show? Did you love this episode with our friend Sean Doyle? Go to Apple Podcasts, go to Stitcher.com, go to first100k.com, write a review right now. Make sure it's 5 stars. If you give me a 4 star or 1 star, I don't know. I'll delete you from my life. No, I'm kidding. All right. But like, write a 5 star review for Sean, not for me, not even for the show, for Sean, for my guest. He showed up and he gave you value. He gave you an hour of his life he will never, ever get back. He invested into you, into your family. So, isn't that worth, I don't know, 10 seconds, 30 seconds of your thumbs clicking a few buttons? Let's go. Write a review. And if we like what you say about our boy Sean here, then I'm going to read it live on the show, possibly, like I'm about to do for Sean. Sean wrote a 5 star review not long ago, and I just found it, which is awesome. Sean Doyle FM handle. He wrote insightful show. Peace, purpose, and profit don't always coincide. Yet Joseph successfully demonstrates that these equally vital elements can live in harmony through your first 100K podcast. We're all for insights that enable businesses to achieve peak performance and scale ethically. Looking forward to the next episode. Sean Doyle. Sean, thank you for your 5 star review. Really appreciate you, brother. Thanks for coming on the show, man, and just pouring out not just your mind, but your heart. And hopefully that changes some hearts and lives today. That's what I'm up to here. So Sean Doyle, thank you for being on your first 100K. Again, you can find him at fitzmartin.com, fitzmartin.com/free help. Free help. Sean, thank you. I wish you God's love, peace, and joy in your life, sir.
Thank you. Peace to you.
Amen. And we're complete.
The only thing we're going to have to disagree on is I lived in Baltimore and I'm an Orioles fan. I hate the Yankees. Sorry.
Bro, you're assuming I like the Yankees.
I am. I've never met a New Yorker that didn't.
No, I was Mets from Long Island.
Okay.
We like the
That's
underdogs.
True. You did say the Mets. All right. There's some good there. There's some good there.
There's some, they try.
But now I'm in Birmingham, so we're Braves fans. So now we're back in trouble again. So,
I hear you, man.
oh
It's
man,
what's
thank you for
so.
your time. That was a fun show. I hope you guys got got a little bit of value out of it. And
Listen, the smart listeners are going to pull a lot of value out of that.
well, that's kind. I would like to ask one favor of you.
Go ahead.
Will you be willing to take my call next year when I get this burning bush principle thing a little farther down the path? I just want to
Tell me
talk to
more.
somebody. Just
Take
want to
your
talk to
call.
somebody who's done this. Launched an enterprise in the focused space. My clients right now sell automation and drives into the oil and gas industry and hybrid electric systems and pharmacy and I mean all kinds of stuff, but none of it's just like broken Catholic first 100K. Let's apply biblical principles to redeem marketing and sales.
Does that scare you?
No, not at all. I just know somebody. I've met somebody now with some experience, so want to talk to the guy.
Let's blaze a trail, baby. Let's blaze a trail. My short answer is yes. Okay. However, I want to ask you a real question.
Go.
How can I help you? And I want you to think personally right now and selfishly. How can I help you? And here's what I mean: at home, not in your business.
No.
Because you mentioned some real serious pain points that matter. You mentioned not enough capacity.
Oh, yeah. If I could solve that problem, I feel like the world would be a better place.
What would that be worth to you? Seriously, how would that change your life for the better? Don't give me a standard answer, like something real.
No, I think with capacity, there's all kinds of benefits, whether it's family or my marriage or my business, having time to think about client problems or pursue burning bush principle. I mean, there's 100 things.
Okay. Is that pressing on you right now? Or is that a nice to have? Not that important.
It's on a scale of 10, it's up 9, 10.
Interesting.
And my leadership team is telling me that too.
Got it. Oh, God's pushing in from all sides, and then he puts you on a call with me? What?
I know.
I literally specialize in that? What? And we're both from New England? What? Anyway, you mentioned failing your family, right? Mm-hmm. Failing your family. Biggest fear. Yeah. Again.
And I would say family, I would include the leadership team my business has, because I spend time with them every week.
Oh, sure. That's your family.
Expanded office.
That's extended.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So. A lot of lives, in your hands.
I got a grandson now, man.
What? Congratulations.
That's awesome.
That is awesome, man.
18 months old. And so far, he and I totally gee-haw. We enjoy being with each other.
It's a new chapter of your life.
I can't wait.
It's a beautiful chapter of your life. All right. So failing your family. Okay. I told you what I do specifically. So I help men before the fall, right? And the fall is they fail their families. And it's never planned. And it's never consciously or intentionally. It's just something outside of their grasp gave way. And everything came crashing down like a house of cards because their focus was on the wrong priorities. Because they didn't know better. They didn't know how. No one trained them. And the world sold them lies that this should be your focus. This is going to make everything work. And it's actually not true. And that's why you get the Tom Brady effect.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. Okay. So I've seen enough of our male heroes fall. So I'm out to stop that, right? Let's go. All right. And then the fake humble, baby. The fake humble, man. And leaning in with that bold confidence, but more than confidence, certainty in the mission that God is calling you to, unapologetically. Without a need, right? The fake humility dissipates. It's not needed. It's kind of like the sales close. It's just not needed when you get it right.
Yeah, it's interesting.
All right. So if these are in any way really important to you, like a 9 or a 10, important to you, I'd like to help you. And here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to invite you onto a call free of charge. I will give you 30 minutes to 60 minutes of my time that I'll never get back to invest into your life. Okay? And we are going to have two simple intentions. One is we're going to get you very clear on the rocks in your life. Rocks is a metaphor for head trash. It's all the stuff up here that's blocking those areas that matter and causing those three major pain points, okay? And once we clear out the rocks, you avoid the fall and you get the life that God has for you. You get his best. I've seen it enough times, and I'm living it right now, okay? I'm not saying you're not, but maybe there's one or two areas of your life that you're like, you know what? I want improvement in those areas. I know there's more. I know there's more, right? So that's the first intention is we're going to clearly identify some of those rocks, and you're going to show up honest and raw and, you know, confidential and just in that safe space with me because you like me. Right?
Okay.
And then the second intention, you and I, by the end of that call, we will make a decision. Does it make sense to work together in an official coaching relationship or not? Both outcomes are fine, but we want to get clear on that, right? Because is God calling you for this greater chapter of your life right here, right now? That's why he put you here. Is this a God incident, so to speak? Okay. How does that sound to you? I'd like to extend that invitation to you. Is that something you'd like to take me up on or let it pass by?
Do you know Ian Altman?
Oh, that sounds so familiar. Tell me more. Why do you bring him up?
Oh, he's a sales coach. He's his y'all are very closely aligned and the questions that you ask, the prioritization, like if you went to his seminar, you'd be sitting there going, "That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. You're teaching my stuff." It's just interesting. Yeah, if you're a good salesperson and you're smart, and you are both, you hear things that are effective and work and meaningful, and you adopt them into your dialogues. And the prioritization question was one I just learned. So that's what was like, interesting. Yeah, let's talk in. Yeah, you're going to love this next sentence. It can't be January because I'm booked solid already in January. But yeah, we'll let's talk in January, and I like the idea.
You just said two contradicting statements. You said we can't talk in January. Let's talk in January. Tell me more.
Well, let's schedule. Excuse me.
Let's schedule.
Let's schedule something in January. If email's appropriate, we'll get something on the calendar.
Okay. Got it. So I'm going to lean in with your permission. Can I lean in just for a second?
Yeah, I think you're going to anyway.
Darn New Yorkers, they're ridiculous. Persistent mofos. No, listen, when God puts a man in front of me, one, I like you. Two, you clearly have areas, right, that God has got me working in, and this is going to bring him glory. As he raises you up and blows out these rocks, man, you're going to do more, impact more. It's going to be fantastic for you, for your family, for God's kingdom, right? So, like, I can't not say these things or ask these things because then I wouldn't be showing up in obedience to God, okay?
Yeah.
So, scale of 1 to 10, you said, hey, Joseph, this matters. This is a 9 or a 10. But you know what? We can't do January because I'm booked out. It's already full, my capacity, which is one of the areas of coaching that's most needed. So I'm going to invite you to change your behavior right now. To change your behavior and do something that will get you completely different results.
Okay.
I'm going to invite you to, I'm going to send you the link to my calendar. And I'm going to invite you to take 60 seconds and just pick a day and time. Leave the schedule to God, okay? But you make a decision. Just pick a day and time. God's got the rest. He'll work out the details of whatever needs to move, okay?
I'll do that.
Pick a day and time sooner than later, okay? So maybe it's like, hey, January's booked out. Joseph, are you available right before January? Are you available the week after Christmas? Can we pick a call then? I can make room there. right? If that's a thing, do that. If not, and that's already taken or whatever, got it, because family, that matters. But then block out a time in January where we put these priorities, your family, your kids, the people you don't want to fail, ahead of all the business noise. And you say, no, I'm doing something different. I'm making them a priority. At least to make a decision, yes or no, and explore, is this from God? Is this what he has for me? Is this what's next for me?
I will I will accept that.
That's a challenge, brother. Like you could say F off, Joseph, and that's cool. I totally get it. But I got to do
Yeah,
my part.
perfect. I'm a very rational guy. I'll think about, and I mean it. This is not a brush off. This is not, I don't need your help. Let me browse by myself. But I need to understand more about you, who you are. And, it's one thing to be on a podcast as a guest. It's another thing to open
Mm,
up your heart and life to a man that you met 30 minutes ago, hour ago. So
100%.
I'm 100% interested in the objectives that you're saying.
Mm.
I just don't know you, and give me some time. Let me learn more about you. Listen to some
You can go professionally
podcasts.
stalk me.
I might, I might
I,
personally stalk you. I like Tampa.
come on down, man. We'll grab some
I'm out
coffee.
of,
Do you
I'm
smoke
out of
cigars?
cigars.
And
Yeah, I'm out of cigars.
oh,
So
okay. A nice cup of glass of port with a cigar. I've
I
introduced many
like
to this. It's very fan.
opened a bottle of Ruby last night. So
Okay, fantastic. Sean, I do have to run. Please take this serious as best you can. Again,
I will.
we're not
I
making a
do.
decision on whether or not we're going to work together. We're making a
I
decision just
understand.
to schedule a call and see what God has. That's
Peace.
all we're doing here. Okay. God bless you,
Thank
brother.
you.
You
Bye.
got it, man. This episode goes live this Saturday, so we'll
Okay.
get the links out to you. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
blessed day. Cheers.